Good morning. Today we had Israel's response at the International Court of Justice. I watched it, so you don't have to. Well, let's get to the details. If you don't know, my name is Musa. I'm a criminal defense attorney in 3 different states and have been doing this for over 20 years. I also prosecuted cases, but that was a long time ago. Let's get into it. All right. So, what we had today was a response by Israel, and it was done procedurally in very same way that the South African accusation was done. They had 4 speakers replying to the allegations that were made by South Africa and other nation states throughout the world that had joined South Africa. Israel chose Malcolm Shaw to be able to handle the presentation, and he did. And the presentation itself today was a little bit anemic. Shaw himself was nothing spectacular. He repeated the same Hasbara talking points and went back through and discussed the same but hummus talk. There were 2 other lawyers that spoke, or representatives that spoke, and they were clearly not prepared. However, Mr. Sager, who did speak, was quite effective, and I'll get into all of that. So, in Israel's response today, they had to prove that they were not committing a genocide pursuant to the international law, and also that they were not enabling a genocide by not doing anything to prevent it, if you will. They had 4 lawyers responding to the allegations that were made by South Africa yesterday, and if you had an opportunity to watch yesterday, you would have seen my analysis of the South African presentation. In response, this morning, Malcolm Shaw came up and tried to describe to the world why it's okay to exterminate tens and thousands of people. Basically, alleging that these people are in the way, in not so many words. His presentation focused on the fact that this war was started by Hamas on October 7th, and that this is in response, and that the world really has no business telling Israel how to respond to the war. Shaw treated the Gaza territory as a country and inferred upon them various rights that they don't have in order to try to punish them. Most of the arguments that Shaw made were already preliminarily headed off by the South African team. The next speakers really didn't do much to benefit anything. They came up and they were the pound on the table. And if you remember from yesterday, I told you if the law is on your side, you pound on the law. If the facts are on your side, you pound on the facts. And if nothing's on your side, you pound on the table. They brought in 2 table pounders to talk about the Holocaust, because they seem to think that because that occurred, that it's okay to, it gives them license to exterminate people, and they can do so. It gives them religious license to do so. Now, Mr. Sager, although he was very dull, was very effective for anybody listening to the law. He cited many cases showing when the court chose not to find that there was genocidal intent, and many of the cases regarding Bosnia, Herzegovina, Yugoslavia, Myanmar, and Russia. And he was trying to distinguish cases that were found as genocide. There were 5 that were brought. Of the 5, 3 were found to be, 2 were found not to be, and he was trying very closely to push the argument towards that side. He was quite effective. If you're wondering about the judges, there are 15 judges. They have come from all over the world, including Russia, the United States, China, France, Australia, Lebanon, Morocco, and no judge can be placed on the bench that are from each other's country, except for when a country can choose one jurist of their choosing and Israel chose a former Israeli Supreme Court justice, and South Africa chose a South African justice named Dikgang Moneski. Those people cancel each other out because they have both shown bias prior to being appointed. They're going to choose how to go forward, and obviously they're going to rule with their personal beliefs, and they're going to find a way to make it work. Essentially, the argument today was why it's okay to keep murdering thousands of people, exterminating a group, and continuing to raise the land. I was watching kind of in a state of shock with my jaw open. The normalization of this type of behavior is shocking, and two of the attorneys lacked empathy so much that you could tell they were sociopathic as they were up there speaking in their bloodlust. I kept thinking to myself, why would they put these people up there to represent them? But at least they didn't have Alan Dershowitz there, which would have made the whole thing just a joke. Professor Dershowitz really would have had no idea what he was doing, and consequently would have made it much, much worse. Two of the four people they picked to respond already were ill-prepared, clearly did not. They were not the right person for the moment. And now it's in the hands of those 15 justices, and those 15 justices will make a determination. In the meantime, remedial measures can be put in place. Now, whether anybody follows this is still up for question. I really don't know if you can stop a country like Israel or the United States from doing anything they want to do, regardless of what the rest of the world thinks, and regardless of what humanity believes. Here we have few countries who can barely, even with a straight face, continue to endorse this type of mass slaughter of Palestinian people. The concentration camp that is Gaza has now been moved to the very, very bottom of the area, to where everybody is just trapped now by the Rafah crossing. Everybody who left the north. In the meantime, the response to the genocidal intent from Israel was basically that people have free speech and they can say whatever they want to say as long as they don't do it in their official capacity. It was very anemic. The presentation was very anemic, and we'll see how the justices rule. We'll know whether the system is corrupt, whether the system is honest and true, and we'll know whether the system really has any teeth. So, best of luck, looking for a true and fair verdict.